It's a lot of information. So do you have time?
We've got time.
Okay. Yeah, he was there, like in front of my face.
Who was there?
Jesus. Like I was scared. I honestly was scared because I thought, if this is Jesus, I am in trouble. I said to him, but what about like God? And he said, if you want to talk to God, we can do it.
Do you think that by leaving the church, the Satanic Church, it will create a stronger divide between Satanists and Christians?
Yes, but it's supposed to. And that's why I left the South African Satanic Church. That's why I resigned.
What's up, everybody? My name is Joshua Rubin, and this is the Wide Awake Podcast.
Are you ready?
Today, my guest is Riaan Swiegelaar. He was the co-founder of the first Satanic Church in South Africa, and he is also a spiritual medium. Welcome to the studio, Riaan.
Thank you. It's so good to be back here.
Yeah, I know, it's amazing to have you here again. Obviously, we had our conversation last time, and a lot has changed since then. So
Definitely.
I thought it would be awesome to get you back on here just to share everything and talk about what's been going on for you.
Yes.
Just to start off, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself from kind of the start of your life till the time you started the Satanic Church?
Sure, why not? That's a very good question, or probably a very good thing to ask and to explain for context, I think. So ever since I can remember as a child, I grew up on a very, or in a very average, let's call it middle class Afrikaans, Calvinistic, or some people might say nationalistic type of environment in that type of household. And then because of things that I've seen as a child and experience, spirituality and religion and that type of thing I was always intrigued by those things. And then those people watching that comes from kind of the same background, growing up in the 80s, you would know that, you go to the NG Church every Sunday, NG Kerk type of thing. It's Dutch Reformed. That's the proper, I think, English translation. So grew up very average, both parents still alive and together. So grew up like that, went to various schools because my parents had to move about every 2 to 3 years because of the bank industry that time. So they were both in the bank industry. So we were moving around quite a bit. And I think, since high school, I started feeling that I do not belong in the church as it was at the time. Like, there's not a place for me because I obviously experienced things differently. And I never had that connection with God or what people told me it's supposed to be. So I saw other people, or I heard other people at least talking about it, but I never experienced it. I also, between the age of 14 to 16, had to deal with the fact or come to realize that I am gay. That was quite a big thing for me at that time, quite a big emotional crisis and a thing to go through. And, trying to talk to various people that I respected about it. And it was met with a lot of negativity and rejection, as well as from my parents, because I think also because of their religious beliefs at the time, and what the church in the 80s would told people is that homosexuality is, it's a sin and you're condemned and you're going to go to hell. And certainly a lot of gay people that I've met through my life, their parents, especially the ones growing up in the 80s and early 90s to a degree, said the same thing to them. So then you start questioning, okay, so if I am this negative, ugly, sinful being that this God is so angry at, why then would that I'm too ashamed to actually go to a church or show my face in a church? Anyway, moving forward, and we don't have to talk too much about the ability to see today. I don't think we'll have time for it, but there's so many incidents throughout my childhood, and
You're talking about being a medium.
yes, well, also I I also think it's important for context to say being a medium is one thing, being a psychic is something else, being a spiritual medium is also something else. So it's almost three different things. And I think a lot of people hear these things and they think fortune telling, like it's a crystal ball and da-da-da. And it certainly isn't, although the psychic part might be. But I've never really resonated with that. And my ability or my gift, as I see it today, I finally see that as a gift. I've never saw it as a gift either. I just knew I can do it. And then you try to quantify things, being also, like I said, after high school, being more of an atheist. So I was in a very, like, almost a space where I couldn't marry a lot of things about me.
You didn't know where you belonged.
Yes, because on the one side, I saw a lot of things, like people's energy and things around them. Number one, to start with that, and I saw people deceased, or people who have passed away. Before they would pass away, I would have visitations from these people, and after they pass away, I would. So I later realized that I can foretell when people would things like that.
And when you saw those things, would you tell people? Would you warn them, or would you keep it to yourself?
No, I kept it to myself because I already felt so rejected. And I already felt as a child, and I mean, this was from early age. I'm talking about 3-4 years old. So I remember the time when I told my mother she's pregnant. I remember that. And I was 4 years old, and she said to me, no. And I said, yes, you are. Like, I'm going to have a sister. And she said, but how? How do you know this? And I said, Jesus told me. Because as a child, anything that looks angelic, and because we were reading like children's Bibles, and you see these little pictures of people with halos and lights, so you think all of it is Jesus. And I know that's probably the crux of the story where we're going. I really only know the last month what Jesus Christ actually looks like.
So before we get there,
yes,
how did you get involved with Satanism?
Okay, so now we're skipping years and years ahead. Let's skip to we're now going to talk about 5 years ago, because that's when it kind of started. So as I worked in the, let's call it the holistic industry or the esoteric industry, over the last 20 years, I was introduced to a lot of different things. And in my search for God, I pursued a lot of things. And I didn't know I'm searching for God. I thought I was searching for divinity or that connection. So I've been through traditional healing. I've been through Buddhism. I've been through a lot of things searching. And then it would be like a year, and it's like, okay, that was the fad, and let's move on. So when I've read every religious text ever written, and 5 years ago was the first time I read the Satanic Bible. Okay, so because I was at a place in my life where it was almost like nothing is working, I don't belong anywhere, I'm being rejected all the time, Christians are and were horrible people. I saw them as horrible people because I never, and I can still say that today, I've never experienced the love of Christ through a Christian. There's 4 Christians, and I've said this in the video as well, that have actually, or has actually shown me that when I could say that, okay, so that is the love of Christ. In retrospect, because when I actually experienced Christ for the first time, I could say, oh, okay, so now I see that those 4 people.
And did you not recognize it at the time?
When I met these people?
Yes.
No, I didn't. Okay. I didn't recognize it. I was almost shocked with those 4 people, that finding out they are Christians, that they can show me this much unconditional love and acceptance. Being a Satanist at the time, it was like, because even before, and this is the point I'm trying to bring across here, is that even before I got involved in Satanism, I've never experienced a Christian or people who claim they are Christians showing me unconditional love. Or I don't even think a lot of them know the love of Christ. I don't think they do.
So is it fair to say, because I saw in a statement that you made that one of the things you say a lot of Satanists have in common,
yes,
is that they're lost and that they are broken people. Mm-hmm. Is that fair to say that?
From my experience, yes, absolutely. And I know that there is now things going around the media where people are very upset for me saying that. But I'm going to stand by it, absolutely. And I was certainly very broken, but I didn't know it. You see, this is the thing. So what I was getting to is that 5 years ago, when I read the Satanic Bible and the philosophy, and the philosophy is based on showing people that you are being an outcast, that you are actually a Satanist, and that's why other people don't like you, is because you are actually born a Satanist. And if you resonate with this philosophy, and you feel which a lot of Satanists do. And I mean, I was broken. I was extremely hurt and broken going through certain experiences, and people telling me I'm going to hell and that God hates me. That people in clergy. I'm not talking about just Christians. I'm talking about pastors. I'm talking about ministers. I'm talking about spiritual counselors, whatever they were called themselves in those churches. People like that, people that I went to experience some type of acceptance or understanding of who I am. So I was so angry at Christianity and religion at the time that when I read the Satanic Bible, and it's also written from a place of extreme anger. The problem with anger is a lot of people think it's power, and it's two completely different things. Being angry and power and being powerful it's completely separate. But people don't understand it. I think it's one of the things that we need to educate people on. It's like, when are you angry and when are you actually being powerful? And we can see it in consequences. We can see it in people's lives. If you look at people who are angry and you look at their lives, I mean, hello, it should speak for itself. Powerful people who bring about change in the world, they're not angry. They are very powerful because they can be a conduit for change, touching people's lives, creating opportunities, making the world a better place. That is power.
I think anger can be powerful because if
Yes.
you direct it in the right way.
Yes, and certainly with satanic rituals. And I don't want to talk too much, and I've said this, and I'll say it again, it's not just because of a non-disclosure agreement.
That you won't speak about what goes on in the church.
No.
Certain things.
No, I can't speak about it publicly.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
There's two people that I was shown I can trust with the information, because they have a calling to deliver people from Satanism. That's not the work I'm going to focus on. But the two people that was shown to me by God that I can trust, I will tell them everything. And I know that they're not going to expose people. It's because they need to do work where they deliver people. So, yes, certainly. But coming back to your point, and that's where I agree with you, is that, yes, if you direct that anger in ritual, it can have an effect. Yes, and I've seen it. I've done it. I've practiced witchcraft for almost 15 years before I got involved in Satanism. So all that anger and rejection that I felt, I could funnel it and use that to make things happen.
So going back, you've now discovered Satanism, right? How long were you practicing Satanism for before you started the church?
Okay, 2 years.
Okay, so the church is 3 years old.
The church in its official capacity is 3 years old, but so some of the people that is still involved with the church have been Satanists for 20 years and longer, because I think also a lot of people had a perception that I am the South African Satanic Church, me. And I wasn't. I was the face. I took on a position in the church because I wasn't scared to be the face of that at the time. And because I resonated with the philosophy. And that was the first time where I felt, okay, so this is a community or a philosophy, or let's call it religion, that I can relate to and belong to, because I felt this stuff all my life, not realizing that what I was feeling since the age of 5 was hurt, so much pain. And it's only since last week where I can start talking about these things without getting emotional, because I do feel that healing has taken place. And I also think it's important for anybody who's going through pain and things to talk. And that's why I think when I put the video out that's gone viral now, is that I say at the beginning of the video, I'm not here to warn people against this or that. I'm still talking from a personal space and from what I've experienced. And I'm not telling anybody you shouldn't do this and that, and this should be your religion and this. It doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter to God either in terms of religion when it comes to the light. Let's call it the light things. It doesn't matter. So I'm not going to be one of those people going out and preaching to people. And no, I've had an opportunity, and you're very welcome to cut this out of the video if you want. But on my way here, so a lot of Christians will say things like, we should go out into the world and tell everybody to be Christian. No. If you love people, that is how people will know that you are the disciples of Christ. So I was at the petrol station and somebody came to me and said, I do not know why, but I feel I want to talk to you. I want to share something with you. And this woman spoke about all the drug abuse and rape that she's experienced. And she said, I feel like God, I could relate to this stuff. So I just feel like God has never looked after me or been there for me. And I could tell her, I said to her, look. And I said to her, let me show you what it looks like. And I held her and I said to her, this is what happened. And I could tell her exactly why she got involved in drugs and why she was raped and why this had to happen to her. And it was extremely emotional because these things are people. There's nothing wrong with getting emotional about these things because it touches us. That's how God works. It's here. It's our hearts. And she said to me that because we had the conversation, and yes, it was extremely private, but I showed her why certain things has happened, and it's because of choices. But we are so easy to say, put this pettiness on God and saying, but God is doing this. It's not. It's us. We make choices. Things happen. Do you understand? So when I showed her that perspective, she said she feels that she can now ask God to reveal themselves, because God isn't just male either. So
I can see that there's been a big switch in your personality recently, and
it's healing.
I think one thing that I'm getting out of what you're saying here is that, and I want to talk about this a little bit later.
Sure.
But often, we're all going through a lot. Everyone is going through a lot.
Absolutely.
And
the world is in pain.
There's a lot of, like you said, there's a lot of pain in the world. And sometimes it just takes, you don't need to tell someone what to do, and we'll get into this later, but like someone showed you love, often when you do that to someone else, it's a lot more powerful than preaching.
Yes. And that's where they get it wrong.
I want to get back to, just so we can go in order here and kind of get the full story.
Sure.
So you were the leader or the co-founder of the Satanic Church, right? And you were the one that really, I think you and your co-founder really put it on the map.
Yes.
Can you tell us why you wanted to take it so public?
Because, again, coming from a place of anger and showing a lot of people, and again, you said earlier, if you use anger, it can be powerful. That whole thing was drove. And is still driven by anger and pain. And because I was so angry, and because I have, again, I call it the gift today, of sight, I saw what I can do to make this happen. And I used all of it, all of that energy and anger. And I funneled it into it, and I pushed it. And that's what happens. And the world can see today, this is what God showed me, and it's beautiful. The world can see today that if you neglect people, that happens. But that's a choice. Again, it comes back to choice. So that's what my life looked like when I chose darkness.
You felt so rejected that
Yes. So I embodied something,
the hate.
and I said, okay, so let me give it back to you.
Yeah.
That's why I pushed it so hard. And I'm being very sincerely and honest now with you. So that's why. And because of that anger and how powerful it was, it worked, and we pushed it into the world, and everybody knew. So the beautiful thing today, though, and I know there's people that will disagree with me, is that what is happening at the moment and what is going to happen hereafter is this is what the other choice looks like. And that I'm seeing it as I'm sitting here right now. Because I said to you when we started this interview, I don't understand what the fuss is about my salvation. I don't get it. I don't understand why it's gone so public, but I see it now as I'm sitting here. It's that people can see there is a choice. There is choice. And the love that I've experienced through Christ is what I want to share with people.
So
yeah.
before we get there, I want to kind of get more recent now.
Yes.
So coming to what's happening now. So I want to know, can you tell us why you decided to leave the Satanic Church?
Absolutely.
Starting from the Cape Talk interview
Yes.
and the encounter you had with one of the people that work there.
Yeah.
Up until the present day.
So it was in the first half of May. The interview is still posted, so people can go and check when the interview was. I think it might have been the 13th or the 14th of May, if I remember correctly. But so Cape Talk invited me to come and do an interview there. And for 2 years, up to then, I've done a lot of, let's say 3 or 4 interviews with Cape Talk. And then there's a woman that she produces content for them, etc. So she was always the one contacting me and say, would you come on the show? I'm like, sure. And I kind of liked her. The way we were WhatsApping, and never met her in person because of COVID. So a lot of the shows was online, phone, etc. And then on that day in May, I went again to represent the church, the South African Satanic Church, for the first time to their studios. So had the interview first, and afterwards she came out from her office and she said, you know what, it's so amazing to meet you in person. And she said, and wow, and she didn't ask me, she just like hugged me. And for quite a while, let's say embrace rather, I think is the more accurate word. And I thought, I felt that this is like, wow, like this amount of love and acceptance coming from this person, and it's probably because we've been chatting on WhatsApp that she kind of feels like she knows me. So about a week later, I was scrolling through WhatsApp, and I don't really check people's statuses because it irritates me, to be honest. But I thought, I'm bored. Let me see what people are up to. And I don't want to go on Facebook because I'm irritated with social media. And then I saw she had a status update, and there was a picture from the Bible, from the King James Bible. And I thought to myself, no, but my first thought is, this can't be, like, this woman can't be a Christian, because the way she accepted me and the way she embraced me after the things I've said in the interview. And then I'm like, okay, cool, but maybe she is. It's fine. So another week went by. So now we are at the 24th, 25th of May. There was a church council meeting, and everybody got together, and we were talking about what would the next steps be to move the church forward. And like, we had these meetings quite often.
So you were strategizing of ways to get more members and kind of bring the message from the church out to more people.
Yeah, it wasn't about members, because the church has, or when I left, had, yeah, this is one of the things I can't really disclose, but they've got enough members throughout the country. Let's put it that way. So they because I've always used my, then let's call it, ability to see things like what. So they asked me to do it. They said, we need to do a ritual here, either 8 people, like just the management and the council with you, or why don't you try this by yourself and let us know what you saw? Because I've done that throughout the last 2 years a lot for the South African Satanic Church.
What is this? To do a ritual to see what?
Well, not a ritual. So this is the part. So it's like, it was doing readings using different methods of divination to see what is the next thing we need to do to get this thing bigger and more. So they said, instead of doing like, your little cards and blah, 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 why don't you do, there's a ritual, why don't you do that ritual? And I said to them, okay, but that ritual, and because I've read about it and I've studied a lot of the symbols in the ritual and stuff, and I said, that is invoking, that would be me invoking a demonic cluster. A demonic cluster is a group of certain demons that has a certain principality. And I've never done that. I just want to say that as well. So I've never actually worked with demons in rituals, and certainly there's other people who do. I know for a fact. So I was a bit resistant, but I'm like, okay, cool. If this is what we need to do, and if I'm going to benefit from it, because at that time, I've made a lot of money. I'm going to be also very honest. I've made a lot of money from the South African Satanic Church. And again, I can't disclose certain things, and I've also made a lot of money from practicing witchcraft for clients and doing different things. So I said, okay, if this benefits me in that way, I'll do it. I will open myself up to the spirit world, to a place that I've never gone, because I've always never felt like I want to go that deep into it, because I have the ability, so why do I need to? But I said, okay, I'll do this ritual. So I started doing the ritual by myself. And I did the first part of it, and then suddenly, yeah, it was there, like in front of my face. And
who was there?
Jesus. And because I've never believed in Christ up to that point, and being extremely scientifically minded and an atheist and all of those things, I said, no, like, this is either a demon playing a trick with me, or I am hallucinating. Like, I was scared. I honestly was scared, because I thought, if this is Jesus, I am in trouble. And I said to him, I'm scared. Sorry. And he flooded me with love, with so much love. And that's when I recognized it. It's from that woman at the radio station. It was the same thing. And from 2 other people that showed it to me a year before, when I was extremely ugly to them. They just loved me unconditionally. And sorry, it was such a powerful experience. And I said to him, but I don't believe it. I can't believe this, because I've looked for this my whole life. And he said, well, you've never opened yourself up for it. And I realized, yes, that was the first time I've opened myself up that much to the spiritual world, to the and I said to him, but what about like God? And he said, if you want to talk to God, we can do it. And I was so exhausted. I can't tell you, and I can't quantify it, or I can't tell you this is how long it lasted, or I can't remember, but I remember I was exhausted. I was so drained, and I almost didn't have the energy, and I remember also I fell to the floor because it was too much. The energy in this space was so intense, and that love, and it encompassed like everything. And I remember I got up and I locked up everything at the church building, and I went to my car and I smoked 2 cigarettes and I drove home, and I kind of like I was trying, and it was very late at night, and I was trying to like figure this out and reason it out. And I went to bed, and the next morning I woke up, and you know what? There was a sense of two things. I was very at peace, and it's like everything went quiet, like the world went quiet. And I realized that my life, this was the end of May, will never be the same again.
And I know you said you can't really quantify it or understand a lot of it, but just because I've never experienced anything like that before, I want to kind of, I want to know more about it, because it's hard for someone that's never experienced it.
Exactly.
To
I
understand.
was there, but exactly, you see, I was there.
I mean, was this something were your eyes closed when this happened? Was your eyes open? So did you physically see Jesus?
Yes.
And was it like he was interacting with the space, or was it more of like you felt him?
So I saw him standing there, Middle Eastern descent, and his eyes was too intense to look at. It was like I couldn't. He has the most beautiful, kind, deep eyes. Like I couldn't look at it too long. I remember that, and I started looking down, and I saw his heart, and then I felt it, and that's when I said to him, with my actual mouth, not in my mind, I am scared. That's when he flooded me, and the conversations with God started happening 2-3 days later, which is another experience.
And was the conversation with Jesus like a conversation we're having now?
Like you and me are having right now.
You were having like a proper conversation.
Yes.
And I have to ask this.
No, you have to.
But did he look like the pictures of Jesus that we see today?
Yes and no. So, like I said, Middle Eastern, and long hair, and the eyes. The eyes is just like, that's still staying with me. And I started questioning my rational mind for about 2 to 3 days. And then I remembered because what I got from him is like, I'm not going to be able to speak to God the way I've tried it when I was a Christian, like going on your knees. And I started going to the beach a lot. I would wake up 3 o'clock in the morning, and I would drive to the beach and started walking in the dark, sometimes obviously until sunrise. And then I started having conversations. So God, I haven't seen like I saw Jesus, but I have conversations with God. So that's a bit different, if that makes sense.
It does make sense.
Okay.
And why do you think Jesus and God entered your life at that very moment? Like, what was it about that moment that they wanted to either show themselves or intervene?
I asked the same question.
I mean, were you going through something? Or?
No, this is the thing. And the people I've spoken about this before I could publicly resign and stuff, they said to me, like, but why? Why did this happen? And And I asked God a lot of questions, things that as an atheist, I've always said, but these are the like 10, 20 reasons why there can't be a God. So all those questions is the conversations that I've been having. And I got answers to all the questions like that we as people want to know. I've got it. And that's the information that we're putting out there over the next while. But I asked the same question. I said, why? And he said to me, because I need you for the kingdom of God. And I need you now. We didn't need it before, but what is happening and what is coming is we need the people with the gifts to see and be open for what is happening in the world and what is coming. And that's why it's now. Because people need to start seeing what it's about. It's about love. Because we're going into a long period of time where choice is going to be the important thing. And it's going to be the choice between light or dark. So those things I've seen. But we have it very wrong. As humans, we still think it's about what religion you follow. And it's not. It's actually not. So I don't know how much you want to talk about this stuff, and that's why I asked you at the beginning of the interview, do we just talk about this experience, or do we start talking about what has happened? And sorry to interrupt you, that's why I don't do interviews, because I do not think, and I do not know if everybody is ready for this information. With you, though, and this is another thing, because I know that you are not a believer, and it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. I'm not the person that's going to go to people, because I hated that when people did that with me. Everybody has to experience it for themselves. But I've said no to 34, this morning 35 already, interviews in the last week. And I've said yes to 3.
I was very surprised when you said yes to me.
Because you are a beautiful person. And I don't mean that in a I'm attracted to you, because we are so confused as humans. Like when you think somebody else is beautiful, there's something dirty and sexual about it. There isn't. You are a beautiful person. And I love you. I love you so much, Josh. I love everybody. And this is another thing. People think, they must think I'm insane. I would have. But the love I feel for people, the love that God has shown me, that he or they have for people.
I think a lot of the time as well, passion can often get confused with insanity.
Yes.
Where when someone's so passionate about something, they want to, like when I'm so passionate about something, all I want to do is share it.
Yes.
And experience it with other people, because that is the human experience. I think my life would be very meaningless without any form of connection. I think all of ours would,
Definitely.
So if I'm feeling happy, or if I'm feeling excited about something, and I know someone else could benefit from it, or someone else could also feel that way, why wouldn't I want to share it with them?
Yes, exactly. And the other thing is, when I saw, and this was right at the beginning, like more than a month ago, when I saw and felt grace for the first time, in my mind, and again, when we bring our mind into it, I'm like, it's too good to be true. And why would I deserve it? Until I was shown, but everybody does. It is for everybody. And I begged God for forgiveness for a lot of things. And what I keep on getting was, there's nothing to forgive. It was part of your life. I've prepared you for something. And I am preparing you for something. And I'm not very special. I'm not a special person. I don't consider myself that. Everybody has gifts and abilities. It's beautiful. I understand it. I understand what it's all about. Why certain people are brilliant with music. Why you are a good communicator and a catalyst and getting information. It's your gift. It's how this whole thing comes together. It all fits. It's insane. It's right in front of our eyes. It's like, I told a friend, I've told a friend a lot of things. So he said to me yesterday, it's like you went from the basement to the penthouse.
I think also what you're saying is everyone is good at their own thing.
Oh, sorry.
And
yes.
if everyone was good at everything, no one would need each other.
There we
but
go.
The fact that we all have our own unique talents and our own unique way of going about things is
Precisely.
we need each other to make things work.
We do.
And often I think a lot of the time ego gets in the way, and
You're right.
You don't want to reach out for help, and it kind of breaks that chain where
It does.
now something that should be getting done isn't getting done. But
Correct.
I want to get back to what we were speaking about earlier. How do you feel about Satanism now?
So, again, you're the first person that I'm having an interview with about this stuff. I don't regret being involved in Satanism. I don't. Because I've seen it for what it is now, and that it's a very small thing. It's a very small thing. It doesn't actually have a big consequence. It's almost like it's Satanism, if I can put it the way that God has shown it to me. It's a T-junction. You are at a crossroads, at a very, very far end of a crossroads that you're going to have to turn left or right. Satanism is that. So Satanism isn't the darkest place that a person can go to, although it is very dark. So that is how I feel about it. And I'm certainly not encouraging people by saying that to dabble into it. But if this is another thing that I've seen, and again, my experience, I'm talking from my experience, if it wasn't for Satanism, I wouldn't be here.
It was part of the journey.
Yes. And it has prepared me for a lot of things. But I'm not saying that, I'm happy. I'm happy that I got involved in it. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I understand, and
It's part of the journey.
Yes.
And as one of the leaders of the community, as someone who was seen as one of the leaders of the community, do you feel like you've disappointed the people that followed and believed in you?
No, I feel I have disappointed people that I led to Satanism. So there's a difference. So there's about 6 people out of thousands and thousands of people that is still involved with the South African Satanic Church, that I've led them there. So that I also had to get forgiveness for, I felt, which I got. And certainly I hope, and it's not to convert people, but I hope and pray that their eyes will open. Because if it can happen to me, this is the thing. And this is what I said to this lady at the petrol station this morning. If it can happen to me,
It can happen to anyone.
because I was the most skeptical person. And I thought, because of the work that I've been doing for 20 years, even before I got involved in Satanism, that I know the spiritual world so well. And I mean, I'm being very, again, honest. I'm very good, or I used to be very good at doing the work I did. Really. I was considered, and probably still am till today, one of the top mediums, or then, let's call it psychics, of the time. And obviously, the gifts that I have, I'm going to use it differently now. And it's about healing people. It's about helping people.
And what has the reaction been from the people at the Satanic Church and also the general public since you've announced your departure?
Yeah. So remember, all this has happened over 2 months. I could only announce it a week ago. So people think this happened recently. It didn't. This was a process. So the management, or let's call it the council of the church, they probably knew first. And obviously my husband, he knew, because I told him about all this stuff, and 2 other people that are close to me. So,
and what was your the co-founder of the Satanic Church? What was her reaction?
are you talking about Audrey?
Yes.
So Audrey, because we've been friends for a long time, she said to me, she doesn't understand it, but because she as a Satanist, she says you have to respect other people's choices and things, and it would be sad for her, obviously, not to be able to work with me anymore, etc. But she respects it, and she is still trying to have a connection with me. So the rest of the people that are still members, they are not allowed to speak to me. They're not allowed to talk to me.
So you've been completely cut off from all those relationships.
Yeah. So I had to go and block. I got a list, and again, I can't. Yeah, but of a lot of people I had to block on Facebook, and then they were told on their side they should rather not, because of, I don't know why. I mean, we can all come to conclusions or why they shouldn't. So that has happened, and I would also say from the satanic community, if you want to call it that, I didn't get much resistance, although apparently on Facebook there's a lot of stuff going on, but I don't know. It doesn't matter, Josh. A lot of things that I would have cared about 2-3 months ago doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Once I can't unsee what I saw.
And you said you explained everything to your partner. How does he feel about everything?
So, bless his heart, we've been married for 9 years. So he said to me, he will back me and he'll be in my corner all the time. He doesn't have to agree with the way I see the world. But I don't think that's what a marriage is about. A marriage is about supporting each other and having each other's back no matter what is going on. And even if you don't agree with that person, because you made a commitment on a spiritual level, or whatever you want to see it. And I mean, we've been together long time before I was involved in Satanism and all those things. So it's not about now Satanism versus this. It's not like we're on two opposite sides. Our marriage is built on something like, it's a soul connection.
And is he still a Satanist?
No.
Okay.
No. Truth being told, that he was actually quietly leaving Satanism earlier this year already. Okay. I was actually quite upset with him, to be very honest, at that time. Isn't it funny?
That is a bit funny, isn't it? The way things work out.
He's very much agnostic in his views. And again, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me, and because of what I've seen, what anybody believes, do you understand? It doesn't matter. I don't have to convert people. I don't have to convince people.
And I know it doesn't matter, obviously, but when you put out the video, it did go very, very public. I think a lot more public than you thought it would.
Of course. Yeah, and I see now why, literally.
Have you received a lot of love?
I have, but I have a lot of Christians questioning
why?
No, my salvation. But then I question the Holy Spirit in them. If you as a believer, if you claim to be a believer and a Christian and you question my salvation, I'm going to question the Holy Spirit in you, like if you actually have the Holy Spirit. And also it's about whether you believe God can do this or not, obviously, that type of thing. But again, it doesn't matter. It doesn't actually bother me. But no, I haven't had a lot of negativity. I've had mostly support and people saying, this is amazing, and it's like in awe. And a lot of people have prayed for this. Not so much what I'm going through or have been, but obviously that in some way and I think according to certain definitions, I'm not a Christian. Do you understand that? So a lot of people will not call me a Christian, saying you're not. And that label doesn't matter. And this is the other thing, is that, but I've never been accepted by Christians. So it doesn't matter to me. I listen to God first. That is literally why I am. Like, I listen to and I don't talk to God every day. There was a period where I thought, okay, this is not happening anymore. So maybe I was, and then suddenly it was there again. But point being, so mostly support, a lot of love, especially people where I'm living, or people that's in our community where we live. A lot of love and support, yes. But I'm not expecting Christians to suddenly now say, oh, now we're going to love you unconditionally and stuff. But my life should be a testimony that if you show people that love, and that's certainly what I'm doing, that's how you find God, because God is love.
And
That's what it is.
do you think that by leaving the church, the Satanic Church, it will create a stronger divide between Satanists and Christians?
Yes, but it's supposed to, because of what is going on in the world and what is going to happen for the next 2,000 years. It's supposed to create divide between light and dark. There's going to be a bigger divide. And this is one of the other things. And again, I'm talking from what the messages and information that I've got and what is being said to me through Spirit, is that I saw why COVID happened. I saw all of it. I saw the bigger plan of everything. So the people who couldn't handle that, they had to leave this planet, because we are going into an age, and we can call it 2,000 years in human years if we want to. That is very important in terms of the separation of light and dark, and for people to choose.
Would you be able to talk about that more? Because it sounds...
Anything that you want to talk about. Again, I feel
the bigger picture.
Yes, I feel safe with you, so you can ask me anything.
What is that bigger picture?
It's a lot of information. So do you have time?
We've got time.
Okay. So as time began, we were all one thing, connected. One thing. And we, as God, as a consciousness, as a collective, made choices. And we said that, as Spirit, we said, or we felt, we need to have an experience that is separate from Source. So we're going to create a place that is the furthest from who we are.
Full of divide.
So we are living, we are experiencing what we have created as that unit. And we had to separate. It's like a big geode, a crystal geode, separating into clusters. And each cluster has groups of souls with certain gifts. Okay? And as you said earlier, each cluster, each soul has certain gifts and abilities. We need each other to be able to grow back into each other as a bigger, as a much bigger presence and unity. It's about connecting. It's about coming back together, because the separation is what is hurting. This is what's going on in the world. We are separate. We are not. That's why people don't want to connect to each other. And we need to experience that. And I know it's painful. A lot of the things that's been going on in the world and that we couldn't understand, and a lot of people still don't understand. I'm talking about disease, famine, hunger, everything that I've always wondered, why is this happening? If there is a God, why is this happening? I got the answers to all of those things. Finally, I get it. It's us. We are the by judging people and not loving, we are separating ourselves further and further. So this choice of love, light and dark is about being in the light, being yourself, knowing God, understanding, to be able to grow and reach out and evolve as souls. And we certainly do not come here one life. We don't. It's a constant thing, and it evolves. And because of things that we've choices that we've made between lifetimes and in previous lifetimes, certain things happen in this lifetime and in the next ones. And this is something beautiful, is that I wrote 740 pages from these conversations, and I've handwritten them.
In the past 2 months, or?
In the past 1 month. From conversations that I've been having with God, with Spirit. And what is interesting is that a lot of people focus on the cross and the crucifixion, because obviously, I mean, that's salvation. I get it, and I agree with it. But the resurrection of Christ is what we need to focus on now. The resurrection of Christ showed us there's life after death. And there is life after death. That's what the resurrection showed us. So Jesus didn't just come to this earth to sacrifice himself. He was a teacher. His message was love.
And how do we bring that connection back?
So that's a good question. Can I tell you the answer? Because for each person, and this is what I want to focus on with my work, because this is the problem that we have is we think we all need to do it. There's a formula for everybody. But because of your soul, right? And this is the thing, we don't have souls. We are souls. This is what God has told me. We are souls. So you doing what you know is something you want to do. That's how you find what you're looking for. You're looking for connection. What are we doing right here? Do you feel the connection we have at the moment? No, you can be honest with me.
I do, yeah.
So by doing what your purpose is, that's how you find what you're looking for. That is how you experience what God is. Because at the end of the day, all of our gifts, which are very different, but nobody is more gifted than the next person. So we just have very different gifts, all of us. But by doing that thing that you're meant to do, that's how you find it.
I think a lot of people get lost within the system that was created.
Yes, but it's meant to.
And you don't have the opportunity to express and
that's
follow the things that you want to follow.
That's the earth plane. But the beautiful thing, and this is part of the law of grace, is that at any time in your life, you can come back to who you are. And the work that I'm going to focus on, and it's not just me, there's a network of people that's coming together. The work that we're going to focus on is to connect people to themselves, who they are as divine consciousness.
And these people that you're working with, are they Christian?
Not well. I would consider, again, it's a label that it would be a label. So I would consider them Christian, yes. But would I consider Christians that not loving people Christians? No. Two of the people come from a very Eastern background. 4 from a Jewish background, practicing certain things already. But that doesn't matter. This is the thing. People think. And again, that's separation. Religion is separating people. It's not about, it's about love. It is about love. God is love. And a friend of mine said as well, how many times are you going to, I said, I have to say it. This when I fell on my knees on the beach and I said to God, okay, I thank you for this grace. What should I do? And he said, show people it's love. And help people to see themselves through my eyes and show people how to love themselves as Jesus loves us. That's it. So imagine people imagine you can see yourself through the eyes of God. That's what happened to me. So I love myself. I finally love myself because I see myself through the eyes of God. And I love myself as Jesus loves me.
I think people can be very critical about themselves, you know.
Yes.
And we see
because of hurt.
We see our flaws a lot more than other people do. So sometimes it takes that outside perspective to really see, I think, who you are and who you can be. Another thing I want to ask was we speak a lot about separation and division. Do you think that, and I don't know if this matters to you, but do you think that you will ever be accepted into the Christian community fully? Or do you think that people will always see you as an outsider because of the fact that you were a Satanist and because you were gay as well?
Yeah. I don't... Again, so it doesn't matter, but I'll answer the question. So no, I don't think so. And I don't want it. I don't care. I have made a decision, especially after this last month, because initially I thought maybe this is now, and God showed me it's not important, because it's not in a church, it's not in a building.
So you won't be going to church?
No, for what? Why? Why should anybody? Because that was the first 2,000 years of religion. We are going into a time where it's going to be about finding it in here. That is where we're going. And the people who would not have been able to keep up, they had to go home. And that is why this pandemic happened.
And like you're saying, things do evolve and change. Do you believe that Christianity is the same as when it was first started? I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but do you think it has evolved? And do you think there's a lot of things that still need to change?
Yeah, well, something that needs to change is I think Christians need to find Jesus. Like, in all honesty, because they and this was beautiful in one of these conversations, and it joins with the story. In one of the conversations I was having, this man that was involved with me in the Apostolic Church more than 20 years ago appeared like out of nowhere as I was having one of these conversations, and he's like, he moved to Melkbos recently. How are you? I'm like, I'm going through a lot, but I'm okay. I can't talk about it. I'm not allowed to talk. And it's like, and he thought I was still a Satanist, obviously. So he said to me, I don't know why, but I feel I have to tell you something, like about the time that, I knew you as being involved in pastoral counseling stuff. And he so wishes that there can be a religion based on the teachings of Jesus, because it's not Christianity. And that's how the Holy Spirit works, according to me. That was confirmation of the conversation I was having that morning. So someone can tell me this is cognitive dissonance, and I've had those conversations with people close to me over the last week. I don't see the world that way anymore. And like I said, it's like going from the basement to the penthouse, like that. And then I have Christians telling me, oh, but you haven't been a Christian. I've known pastors and ministers that's been Christians for more than 30 years. They still don't love people. So, do you understand?
Yeah.
And that's why I say, if you question my salvation, I'm going to question the Holy Spirit in you. Because if you have the Holy Spirit in you, you are the anointed. We are all the anointed when you have that.
In the Christian religion, though, anyone can be saved.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes, absolutely. And
so why wouldn't they believe that you can?
Because I'm not doing it in the way, most likely, that they would understand. And I also had Christians ask me, but you've never been a Christian, you've been a Satanist, why would Jesus appear to you and not us who have been? Then I'm like, I don't know. Ask God, please. Pray, and it is my prayer. It is my prayer for everybody to firstly experience grace, to actually feel what that feels like. It is amazing. There's a song. I know it's a cliche. Amazing Grace. Like, go and listen. That is it. Those things make sense to me now. When I would listen to that, I was like, what? Like, whatever. What does that even mean? So there's many ways that we can experience it, but the beautiful thing is as well, you don't have to go and look for it in a church or whatever. It is available all the time. And that's why I also said, and it's part of what I've written down, is God is literally everywhere, all the time. So if you go with a sincere heart and you ask it, I know it will happen. Not you. I'm not telling you to do it. So I just want to, again, I want to be clear. I'm not telling people how to do it. This is what I know.
You just want to share your experience.
Yes. So if people would ask me, how would they, I'm like, and Christians as well, please go and pray and find it. Let Jesus show you his heart. Let God show you the love that is God. That is literally my prayer for everybody. And when Christians come to me and say, oh, but this and why, I'm like, do you actually know God? Do you know what God can do? Because clearly, if you don't believe this, then you don't, and it's fine. Because God doesn't care. This is the beautiful thing. Do you think, and this is something I never understood, do you think God needs to be worshipped?
I would say no. I would say no.
No. We need God. God doesn't need us. There's all these things that I never understood my whole life. It's like I get it. I do. I finally get it, and it's amazing. And that's why I want to share this. It's not that, and I think a lot of people also think I'm doing this for, I don't know, publicity or this. No. I'm following what God is telling me to do. That is what I'm doing. And that's why I said to you, also, when we were starting to talk, I said yes to you. I'm not here to convince you or for you to get my message out. I resonate with who you are. I feel this is an emotionally safe space. And I put it out there that because the initial video was answering all these questions from a few people, and like from like a rumor perspective, people who heard the rumors, because the church released a statement. I didn't know they were. I didn't know at the time what they were, but they did, obviously to cover themselves, the Satanic Church, and within that week it started. And I'm like, I can't deal with this. So let me just put a video out to explain what happened, and it got very real. Do you understand? Because I was walking around with that for almost 2 months.
You were holding on to it, yeah.
And I couldn't tell.
You could see you were very emotional in the video, and I can see that you're still emotional about it.
Of course, because it is something you feel. It's not something that you understand. You can't cognitively, and certainly me as well. If this was me 2 months ago, and you would be sitting here talking to me, I would be like, are you high?
It's impossible to explain a feeling as well.
Yes.
You can never explain how something feels.
And it's supposed to be.
So something that I wanted to know was, obviously you were a very well-known figure within the Satanic community. Are you looking to become a well-known figure or a leader within the Christian community as well?
No. And this is another thing, because I have so many people now saying to me, I'm going to follow you and you're wise. This is not me. I'm not wise. This is God's wisdom. Do you understand? So people think I want to be like, I'll certainly teach. I'm going to teach love. That's what I'm going to focus on. I'm going to teach love. I'm going to heal people that need healing. That's going to come and say that I will do it. And I'm creating a network where even if you don't have money and you want to, there will be people that can heal you. And I will make sure it happens, because that is the oath. Because I can't possibly, and I know I don't have to repay what I have received. But I see my purpose, and you know what was beautiful, Josh, sorry, I'm interrupting myself the whole time, is that when I saw, this was straight after I had the encounter with Christ, when I started having these conversations with God, I'm like, but okay, so I have to make choices here. Show me how my choices would play out. The thing that made me very sad is that I saw thousands and thousands of people that would not be helped if I don't do this. People that I have soul agreements with. Do you understand? So when I was involved with Satanism, people were scared to come to me. People that I'm supposed to help. So
they were scared to ask for the help because they were intimidated by you.
Yes.
And your beliefs.
Yes. So I can see how my choices, even now, everything, being here today, everything I'm doing, from I listen to God and I want to see, and I have the gift of sight. So I want to see, if I do this thing, how does that play out over a year, 2 years, 10 years, till the end of my life? And I can see that. And that's why I left the South African Satanic Church. That's why I resigned. Do you understand?
Yeah,
okay.
I do. So, I mean, is there anything that you learned during the time? Basically what I'm trying to ask is there anything that you learned from Satanism that
that
you would still practice today? is the values and the kind of morals behind it? Or is everything completely opposite?
That's a very good question. I'm glad you're asking it. So, the one thing I can give to Satanism
Because
is,
I don't want
No,
people
it's
to think that Satanism is they're bad people or
no,
anything. That's what I
no,
yeah.
no, they're not. God loves them. I love them. Do you understand that? So they are not. Nobody is a bad person. Did you know that as well? Nobody. Doesn't matter what they do in the world. And I'm not saying doing things that hurt other people is okay, because I've seen why people do that and what the consequences are. But nobody in their essence is bad. People are hurt, they do certain things. And the experience or the exchange between two people when that happens is also for a reason. It's literally seeing it through a completely different. Yeah. But the one thing that I would give Satanism is allowing other people to make their own choices, and saying that if you expect me to give you the right to privacy or respect you deserve it back type of thing. So that, but
I interrupted you as well. So out of all of the things you learned during that time and all of the values and kind of morals instilled within Satanism, is there anything that you would still hold on to?
No.
So it's completely opposite to the way you're living life now.
Yeah. Because I'm not hurt anymore. And I mean, I get emotional about things and stuff. That's not hurt. Being emotional is honest. It's but in terms of the anger, which is pain, that type of thing, I'm completely healed from that. So if I was angry, yes, certainly I can tell you a lot of things that I would. But the whole philosophy, I mean, and again, truth being told, we're going to say, talking about Satanism in the broader sense of where it started. Everything was copied from different things. You can go and do the research. I'm not talking about stuff I'm not supposed to talk about. The whole Satanic Bible, it was literally copied from different texts and put together as a philosophy, because it resonated with Anton LaVey at the time, and he put it out. And so many people were angry, and anti-peace movement type of thing, that they followed that. And it's okay. It also needed to happen.
And when you were a Satanist,
Yes.
when we had our conversation, the things you said about Satanism, were those things that you believed, or were you so angry and hurt that you were saying them and it wasn't necessarily what you believed, but you wanted to say it?
The latter, yes.
So you didn't actually believe it?
Well,
necessarily.
What specifically?
So
about it?
About the religion, because obviously you were a huge ambassador for Satanism.
Yes.
At the time, and you were saying that.
But if so, I completely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But when what I'm asking is, when you say believe, in terms of live it, or in terms of practice what you preach, which part?
Like when I say, did you believe it?
So remember that.
Did you believe as strongly at the time in Satanism as you do now in Christianity?
I don't believe in Christianity. I believe in God.
Okay.
I believe what I've seen in my eyes. I believe in Jesus Christ. I'm a believer. I don't believe in Christianity because it's a religion. I don't think religion and being religious is good for the world. And it doesn't represent the true essence of Christ or God. That's what I believe.
Because it's once again creating
It's
those
separation.
divides.
And we are all equally God's children. The grace, compassion, love is equal for everybody. So certain religions would teach you, and I'm not saying specific ones, that this person is more deserving and this one is going to go to heaven, that one is to hell. And no, it doesn't. It doesn't work that way. It works very, very differently than how I initially thought, and I think how a lot of people think. But again, and I don't need people to agree with me. I really don't. Because I've had an incident a week ago where people are saying they don't agree. I'm like, no, I don't care. I'm doing what I'm being told to do, and my focus is not to defend this or prove it. My focus is to do the work. So my focus is to heal people, because this gift, this thing, is too beautiful. I had to go through certain experiences to help people like me. I get it. I actually, finally, I get it. I get it. Like, I was so angry at God, at religion, at Christians, at for hurting me. But would I be in a place then today where I would say, I need to help people like that? No. So that's what's going to happen now.
So that's what you want to do going forward.
Yes.
And I mean, just coming towards the end, I know we've spoken about it a little bit, but what is your plan from here on out? Like,
Okay.
what is the next step for you?
So at the moment, I have about, let's say 20, it's maybe a little less, other people that I've known for quite a while that are gifted and healed. And there's certainly more people. This is the other thing, we should actually show people their gifts and train them, because the world needs the love and the healing. But with those people, to create a network where everybody is very gifted in their own way. We're not gifted in similar ways. But to have a network where anybody, for spiritual and emotional, those two reasons, would be able to come and say, I need help. I need the healing. And to show them, because God heals. And I didn't think He really does, or them, that they really do, but God heals.
And are you guys going to be working out of a center or a...
So a network, and specifically the word network, is that everybody has their practices already. But the hub, the initial contact, would be me, my office, my assistant. And from there, we either go to where it's a training, or I send them to people in the network.
And into like treatment centers and into maybe prison facilities, or
Yes.
would you consider doing that kind of thing?
Yeah, it's already happening.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, and it's about paying it forward.
Showing the love that you've received. And I'm not even just talking about religion. I'm just talking about just being a good human being.
Yes.
Because it's, as someone who understands in a different way the pain you've gone through, feeling like an outcast, an outsider.
Yes.
You know, I try as much as I can to just show compassion for people.
You're doing good, Josh.
And
you're doing good.
Recognize that I am in a position to do some sort of good with my life, you know?
Yes.
And I think that's just an important thing, is whether it's religious, whether it's not, no matter who you are, I think it's just about showing people love, because at the moment,
Yes.
the world is going through so much, and I, for one, have had enough of feeling rejected and also rejecting others. You know,
Yes.
I think it's time we all just come together. And I know this is obviously, it's something that is not going to happen for a long time.
Yeah, but it's a beautiful thing to put out there.
Yeah.
Because I'm very realistic. God gave us a mind for a reason. So I know it's not happening tomorrow. But in the bigger picture, I've seen how much that little bit matters. In the video, I thanked someone called Adele Frey. And she was like, but for what? I've done a little thing. I've done such a simple little thing. I just loved you. And I'm like,
That was enough.
for someone that didn't know what that would feel like, after the way I've treated her, to do that. Do you understand? So this is the other thing. Is that I know a lot of people go like, that little bit, I'm not really making it. It makes a difference, because listening to that love part of yourself, that center in our chest that says, help this person, do this one thing. It might be a little thing. The difference, the way the energy moves out, the consequences from that, because everything is consequence on this plane, on this earth plane. Every choice we make has consequence. That's what happens. So the consequence and reaction it has, that one little good thing, as opposed to the hurt and the stuff, is way more powerful.
It's a big ripple effect.
Yes.
Yeah, and I see it. You know, you don't have to sacrifice your whole life to do this, but like you say, just sometimes a good hug when you're not feeling so good can go a long way. And I mean, look what it's done to you.
Yes.
Look how much it's changed the way you see things.
And that is exactly what I want my life to be, like a testimony of that, of small things and the effect it has.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for coming on today, Riaan. I really appreciate it. And, you know, I'm so honored that you said yes to coming on and sharing your story. And I know everyone will really appreciate it as well. It's a fascinating story.
And thank you for holding this space.
It's
this
my absolute pleasure.
incredible safe space for people to be able to come and tell their stories.
Thank you. And thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Wide Awake podcast. It's been awesome. And I'll see you all very soon. Cheers. We're done.
Are you happy?
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Riaan. Of course. I want a nice big one.